Welcome back to our show. Electric jetboards and hydrofoils are becoming really popular, and today we're going to meet Andreas, who is an expert in the industry of efoils and motorized surfboards. He's also the creator of a well-known magazine and blog called e-surfer. In this episode, we're going to talk about the future of the industry, as well as a number of other topics, including the safety of batteries, how to properly charge and store high-powered batteries at home to avoid potential risks. In addition, we'll talk about how to charge the batteries on the go in your car, mobile home, or yacht. Also, how to keep them safe in fireproof boxes, how to store batteries long-term in winter to extend the battery life, and much more. Everything you need to know to have a safe and fun experience when dealing with electric batteries, we'll be talking about today here.
Welcome to our show, Andreas. Before we get started, I really want to acknowledge all your great contributions to the new sport of electric jetboards and efoils. And if anybody doesn't know about your website, e-surfer magazine, they should definitely check it out. You have an amazing forum, you have an amazing website with reviews, board comparison, the tips and tricks, a lot of great information. And of course, your new YouTube channel. So people should definitely check it out. I know you've been dealing with electric jetboards, efoils and skateboards for many years now, and it's a super fun industry. But also it could cause a big danger if big battery is handled, charged or stored improperly. So today we are going to cover all that and give tips for people to be safe and increase the life of the battery. Let's start with basics. What are the usual energy capacities in electric jetboards and efoils battery and the usual charging time?
Hey, thank you, Mike. Before we start with it, thank you for all the honor. I know you are a super user on the forum, and actually we both shared a lot, so a lot of information which I can put in articles are also from you. So it's a lot of people are happy with doing this, so thanks a lot. I always see your comments. Thanks for that. Coming back to the topic, yeah, I mean, there are in the meanwhile quite a lot of different batteries out. There's a comparison table on my website. You find it in the right column under compare the board. There's also compare the batteries. But usually they have around 50 volt, which should be safe in water. That's what the regulations say. It should be not more than 50 volt. But they have quite a lot of power. It could be between 1,200 and 3,700 watt hours, which is quite a lot. If you compare this with a standard bike, it has about 500 to 1,000 watt hours. And the charging time, depends on the battery. There are smaller batteries. efoils usually have smaller batteries because they need less energy. And then you have very big jetboard batteries from some manufacturers. If they have fast chargers, they should charge between 2 and 2.5 hours. But if they use what they call a standard, a cheaper charger, it could be sometimes 6 hours or even more.
Alright, so speaking about the chargers, let's talk more about how you charge the battery that is so big and powerful. Like you just said, there are standard chargers and the fast chargers. So what are the main differences, and are the fast chargers really safe? Can you give me some examples from the popular brands?
Well, I did just an article because funny enough, and I found this funny because a lot of people ask me, can I charge it in the car? So I actually went back to the chargers and actually wrote down and asked the manufacturers how many watts they need. And I found JetSurf, the JetSurf charger has 1,200, Lift has 1,400, Lampuga has 1,600, Magic Surf has 2,000, Waterwolf 1,800. So you can see that they are mainly in the range between 1,200 and 2,000 watts. But these are actually all fast chargers. Then I looked at the Radin chargers. I actually have them right here. They have a standard charger which has 800 watts, and the quick charger has again 1,800 watts, similar to the other ones. And this is what you basically need from your power supply at a minimum, and if you are charging at home, that's no problem at all.
So for people who are new to this industry, could you show me some of the chargers real quick to see how big they are, how they look?
Yeah, I have two here in my office. One is this one, which is a standard charger from Radin. This is the one with 800 watts, and they're still pretty heavy. So I have to see if I can hold them both up, because this is the fast charger from Reddin, and as I said, they're heavy. So you can see there's a difference. This has much better cooling. It's more than double of the performance. So the standard charger is really could 4 to 8 hours depending on the manufacturer and the battery. Fast chargers usually charge in 2 hours.
All right. So to continue with charging, can you explain if the e-surfboards and efoil batteries can be charged in the car or mobile homes, and maybe some examples as well?
Right. Yeah. I actually just did this survey for my own. On the one hand, I got asked this question so many times, if you can charge in a car, and then I bought a mobile home where I should be with you by now, but we all know currently it's difficult traveling. And so I want to understand what I can do when I'm on the tour with my mobile home. And in a car, even in a truck, let's say normal truck, it is definitely not enough. Even if you would have two 20-volt batteries, like large batteries, it would be not enough to charge a battery. Maybe you charge them once, but then your car is empty, which I think is counterproductive. So no, you cannot charge them with normal car batteries. I had, however, one user in the forum who had actually a big expedition truck, and he has really large batteries, and he's able to charge it. But I think that's not a standard. It's a very special car.
But I think it's not a big problem. From my experience, people usually ride in the morning, then they go for lunch break, then they ask in the restaurant if they can borrow some electricity to plug the charger real quick, and then they go for another session in the afternoon. So it's not really a big deal, in my opinion.
That's right.
So to continue with charging, let's get to the boats and yachts. Do you think it's really possible to charge electric batteries on the yacht? And also another question, is it really ecologically friendly to be charging big electric batteries using diesel generators and then saying about zero local emissions?
It's a good question. We come to this later. Well, if you can charge on a boat, really depends on your boat. If you have a very small boat, like I have one, which has actually similar batteries to a car, so the answer would be the same. No, it's not possible. If you, however, have a yacht, which has its own generator, and there are ones with gas, gasoline, diesel, then actually you would have enough power actually to charge the battery. If it comes to our environment, yeah, that's a tough question. On the other hand, if you charge at home, and you get your power from a power plant which is burning coal, it's the same thing, right? I think the engineers worldwide need to focus more on wind and sun and other energy, but the power from our home outlet isn't necessarily clean either, right? So that's kind of the same thing. I would therefore call it not zero emission. I would actually, and some manufacturers start doing it, they call it local zero emission.
I agree. I think it's more honest to say zero local emissions, because otherwise we're just fooling people saying, oh, this is so environmentally friendly, while it's actually getting the energy from the power plants.
Right, but it's the same with cars and e-bikes and everything, right?
All right, so speaking of generators, let's cover mobile generators and mobile power stations. I know you've been researching this topic a lot, so are they good enough? And maybe you can give me some examples as well.
Yeah, well, again, it came back to that I want to go hopefully very soon again with my mobile home, and I was looking for a solution myself. So I started to do some research. Again, you need at least 2 kilowatt in order to charge one battery, and it would be only enough for one. You would need 4K actually to charge two at the same time. The problem is not only that the larger ones are getting pretty expensive, the main problem is really the weight. So I found one which I liked. It has 2.2 kilowatt or 1,800 permanently, which I think you need, and that's enough for my batteries. But then I thought maybe I can actually get one number higher, and it has 3 kilowatt, because it's just to be on the safe side, right? The problem is the one with 2.2 kilowatt has 21 kilogram, and the one with 3 kilowatt has 61 kilogram. So 61 is not really portable anymore to put it into a mobile home. So I think you are somehow limited to this 2 kV in this area, and the price. If you take a good brand, then I think it's about 1,500 euro. And I will buy one. Right now I cannot do anything with it, but I will buy one in the next 1 or 2 months. And then I certainly will check it and report back how well it works. But from all what I've seen in YouTube videos and reviews, they should be fully capable of doing the job.
And what's the brand? What's the brand of this?
The one I have in mind right now is from Honda, and it's called the EU22i, I think. That's from my research in the web. They got good reviews, so I will try this one unless somebody can tell me what's better.
Now let's get to the battery safety. We all know about big battery fires caused by electric batteries, and some people lost their houses, shops and the boats. And we won't get into any specifics to avoid sounding biased, but I think everybody dealing with electric jetboards and efoils should be aware of the risks. I think charging is probably the most risky moment. Let me know if I'm right and what are the most common solutions for the safety.
That's right. Well, at first I want to say, I mean, this is not unique to electric surfboards, right? It can happen with cars, we know it can happen with smartphones or e-bikes. That's just the nature, unfortunately, currently of this lithium-ion technology. And we have many of them in your house. I'm sure you have. I know you have a lot of cameras and drones, and they are all fed by these kind of batteries. If you have a drilling machine, and that's the same. And then listen around. I mean, how many fires did you have in your neighborhood or family, or did you even hear from in your town? From all these batteries, e-bikes, cars, everything together. Honestly, I didn't. Yes, we are looking very deep into the electric surfboards, and we are probably aware of any fire would ever happen. That's why we know there was a handful, yeah, or even slightly more, but you know, maybe 5 to 10 from all the boards which were sold worldwide. So I think you have to put this in perspective. On the other hand, I'm personally very careful, right? I'm very scared about batteries. I had an accident a while ago with fire, so everything which is related to fire, I'm super serious. That's why I look into it a lot. And you're right, yes, it is most dangerous when you are charging and a few hours after charging. Because then the cells are still cooling down. This is also why you should not charge and just go to the water. I mean, just wait 20 minutes, 30 minutes before you start. Or you should not really ride the battery completely empty and then just plug it in again, because the cells need to cool down. So that's where I think there's the most risk. I personally, again, since I take it very serious from the beginning I bought some steel cases on eBay and put my batteries, when I store them, into these cases. I don't put them in cases when I'm charging, because just my solutions wouldn't allow this. What I do is actually I put them outside on the grass, and then I make sure that somebody there would see that something is happening. I have a camera and see it from my office if there would happen something, but you should not leave it alone while you are charging.
That's a very good point. And you just mentioned some fireproof boxes. Can you show me some real examples that you use?
Yeah, I didn't bring the steel boxes with me, which are outside, because they are pretty heavy, but there are some pictures on my website. However, I have 2 or 3 examples here. There's one, this is just a Peli case. You open it, and then you have the form of the battery. In this case, it's actually for a lift battery. But this is not fireproof. This is just absorbing shocks when you're traveling. So if I'm riding with my van to a different lake or something, then I put the batteries into this case. If I want to store them, my first solution was this aluminium case from Sage. But this one was offered by Lyft, and it's not. Well, it's kind of fireproof, but not real. But because the material here inside, I asked Lyft, and they said it's no special material. It is just for shock absorption. It is actually the case itself which will protect you. So just recently for other batteries, I bought these boxes in different sizes, and then there are these kinds of pillows. They really feel like a pillow. You could almost sleep on it, but there's a very special material in it. It doesn't burn, and it I think absorbs the fluids and all kind of stuff. So what you do is actually you take an empty Zage case. You have these pillows in different sizes. I usually take 2 bigger ones than these and 2 of these, and I put one on the bottom, the battery left, right, and one on top. And then you should be pretty safe. According to Zage, where I also got the pillows from, they said they have a certain certification, and this certification means that even if a battery has a thermal runaway in this box, it must be below 100 degrees outside. So you could even put a box of paper on top of it and it would not start to burn. At the same time, there's a lot of gas coming out of the batteries when something happens, so these are not, the gas can come out, so it will actually not have an explosion. So from my understanding and all the research, and I talked to different people also from universities in Europe, this seems to be a good, reasonable, good, safe solution. And I really like these pillows, because if you read one of my older articles, I had these pyro bubbles, and they were a nightmare. There was a lot of dust, and I mean, really feels like a pillow. I mean, so it's very easy to handle, no dust. So I think this is a good solution. Again, I cannot charge in it. It's just the nature of the box. But again, I just charge them outside, and then it's fine.
All right. And I think we can also mention the new fireproof bag from Onean. They made this red big bag, which is quite expensive, but they say they tested it, and it's a good way to store big electric batteries as well.
Yeah, it's definitely better than nothing. I think you need a combination. I know there's also an example from Torque who has a similar bag, but then they put it into an aluminum case on top. I think you need these 2 layers. So there's one reason to have the box, and then there's one reason to have this, fireproof material. And I think a combination would be best. But certainly, especially because Onean has designed it for charging, I think that's definitely helpful to have this bag as well.
All right. So let's talk about storing batteries long term in winter. Can you give me some tips and examples at what charge level it's better to store the battery if you're not going to use it for a long time, and how often to recharge it and check the charge, and at what conditions you're going to store it at winter?
Yeah. At first, the good thing is you don't really have to care about the board itself. There are not really many things you have to look after. It should be dry. But the batteries, of course, was always a big question, and I noticed that a lot of manufacturers are giving sometimes very different answers. So I actually spent more time on it, researching it, and try to combine it to a common denominator. And it seems that everybody suggests you should be in a dry environment at room temperature. Of course, this is always the best, but for me, for example, it's not possible. I don't want to store 7 or 8 batteries here in my house with the kids. I have them outside in a small house, and it will get cold, but everybody said, hey, if it's going to -5 degrees, it's fine as well. The battery should be fine. It should be not -20, which I don't have. But the only thing you have to care of, if you want to charge them in winter, you have to make sure they're not below 10 degrees. I mean, you have to warm them up. I had to charge one recently, so I had to take them out into the house for 5 or 6 hours before I charge them, because this is what every manufacturer is saying: don't charge them below 10 degrees Celsius. In terms of charging level, again, there were very different opinions. I had some people saying 100%. I had other people saying 20%. But if you, 10 to 12 manufacturers I asked, the sweet spot was 30 to 50%. And if you charge less, like 30%, then you have less risk in case something would happen because there's less energy in the battery. However, if you charge less, then you may need to recharge them over time because it's not good for the batteries if there's a deep charge, then the sails can be harmed. So if you're at the 50%, you are probably pretty safe that actually you don't have to recharge them over the winter. At 30%, you may need to recharge them 1 or 2 times. So what I do is I look to the batteries like once a month. I have them charged at around 30%. And so far, the reason why I had to recharge one was not this reason, it has a different reason, because I actually had somebody who wants to learn e-foiling in the middle of the winter. But I so far did not need to recharge in winter. However, it really depends on humidity and how cold it is and the manufacturer. So again, between 30 and 50%, and then look at them once a month, and they should not go deeper than 10%. Then you should be fine.
All right, sounds good. And a lot of people are asking, can electric jetboarders and efoilers travel with their battery on the plane? And I know the answer, they cannot, but what's the solution do you have for them, how they can travel with their battery worldwide?
It's a tricky one. I mean, so far we have said always, yeah, you just send it up front via dangerous goods to the hotel and you are fine. Just recently, we actually had to do it a couple of times for customers. These batteries have far too much power for a passenger car. The limit for a passenger plane is 100 watt hours. I mean, there's a scuba jet over there. I think you know it very well. It has smaller 1 watt hours, but we just said earlier that the electric surfboard companies batteries have between 1.5 and 4 watt hours, kilowatt hours. So we had to send one just this week to Africa for a customer who wanted to go into holidays, and we were able to send it via UPS as dangerous goods. The price was 280 euro. The problem, at least here in Germany, is that you need a special IATA certificate, which my wife had to do last year in order to be able to send batteries on its own. So different countries might have different rules. I think all the rules are definitely that you cannot bring them onto passenger planes and that you have to send them as dangerous good up front to your location. If you can send it yourself, or you just go to a local freight forwarder, they should have someone with this certificate. Again, the price is around 300 euro.
And in my opinion, maybe it's just much simpler to just arrive there and find somebody local and rent the battery or rent the whole board. It's much cheaper than the price you just mentioned, and also it's less hassles.
That's right. And I think there with more and more resellers and affiliates coming up worldwide, the chance gets higher and higher that actually you can rent it locally.
All right. So speaking of the future of this industry, in my personal opinion, I think the huge weight combined with the poor riding time and high price, that is what limits electric jetboards and efoils industry from growing into mass markets. So what are your thoughts about the future of the battery technology? I heard Tesla is focusing on solid state batteries in which the liquid or gel part of the battery is replaced with solid. So will things get better anytime soon in your opinion, and what tech looks promising to you right now?
I feel pretty confident that it will get better. I mean, we have a lot of talented engineers and researchers out. I'm more a user rather than an engineer, so I'm looking forward to it like you do. But, you know, like with computers, I mean, it's all powerful year by year. And maybe the technology will completely change, which I probably expect because the resources for lithium-ion batteries are also limited. What exactly will come? I'm not sure. I take what they give me.
Okay, let's hope it comes, because right now I think it's really hard for electric technology to compete with the petrol one. especially with the weight. You get much more riding time out of a tiny petrol tank compared to a very heavy big battery.
That's right. But maybe one more thing, and I think it will actually not go too fast. I mean, we look into this at least 3 years. And how much improvement have you seen over the last 3 years really in the batteries? Is almost nothing. Or I mean, the capacity didn't really grow over the past year. I'm sure there will be the next jump at some point, but I have not heard anything that there is something close to come which will be a game changer.
All right, so let's see your opinion and your thoughts of the future of this industry of jetboards and efoils in the next 5 years. I know you've been following the industry very closely lately, and you always visit all the trade shows and you follow the new trends and news. So do you think efoils will dominate the market like right now because they are novel? It's a novelty, it's more impressive. I know efoils sell much better than jetboards. Or do you think it might be ruined by the low quality Chinese brands and rip-offs of the legit brands? Or maybe a new regulation will come that can stop the market from growing. So what do you think about the future of the industry?
Yeah, I think both jetboards and efoils will coexist. It is a little bit like snowboarding and skiing. Some people like snowboarding, some people like skiing. The reason why the efoils are currently more successful, I don't know if this will stay like this, is because they have some advantages. They need less energy, and we just said the energy and capacity is the main problem right now. This is an advantage for the efoils. But then on the other hand, there are a lot of people who really want to be on the surface. They want to feel the water. And I think once the capacities of the batteries will get better, there will be equally like jetboards and efoils. Risk, I think in terms of regulations, well, we have certain regulations. Canada and Switzerland did ban the electric surfboard so far. But if you read why they did ban it, it's based on older regulations where they didn't have this kind of boards in mind. But, you know, all countries have their certain laws and boxes, and either you fit into this box or you don't fit into this box. And unfortunately in Switzerland and Canada, they fit into a box where it was not allowed. So I think this will get better also because, I mean, there must be something like 10,000 boards out already all over the brands, and with more boards out and currently not forbidden, it will be harder and harder for the regulations actually to ban them. So that's why I feel each year more comfortable that nothing bad will happen in this case. In terms of, you know, risk with cheaper brands, it's the same like if you would buy a car. I mean, if somebody, you know, if there's a no-name brand at a car dealer in your neighborhood and he wants to sell you an electric car for 8,000 euro, I'm not sure if you would take it, right? I mean, this will always happen. And I don't want to say China because there are a lot of great Chinese companies, you know, like DJI, the drone companies. Unfortunately, there are also a lot of companies who still copy, yeah, and make it cheap. And I personally, I would only warn for this. I think we have seen many examples in the forums that people just lost their money, right? And the things were breaking after 1 or 2 times. And yeah, that's why I would stay far away from them.
All right. And my final question, I know you've been dealing with both jetboards and efoils now for a long time, and you've been selling them a lot. You rent them, give lessons as well. But what's in your opinion, which type of the board you prefer yourself? Because I see a lot of people prefer jetboards. They say like efoils, they get boring over time. You don't feel the water. At the same time, efoilers say that jetboards are just too noisy, the riding time is too low, so efoiling is much better. So this fighting is going on for a while now. What's your opinion? What's more fun?
I think fun-wise there is both equal, but you're right. I would say I preferred the efoils over the last 2 years because a lake, which is just 3 minutes away from here, I wouldn't be able to ride the jetboards. The police would come after 10 minutes. But for the efoils, you know, they are fine. They know me. That's the reason why the last 2 years I was using 85% of the time an efoil, because it's just so easy for me to go there. If I wanted to use the jetboards, I would need to put everything into the car, and as you know, they're pretty heavy. And if I would, I'm lucky enough to have several jetboards and efoils, so it's actually worthwhile for me to charge them all, go to a lake, spend there the entire day, and I have boards for the entire day. If you only have one board, and it takes you 30 minutes to pack the car and another 30 minutes to drive there, and then you can only ride 30 minutes, and then you have to go an hour back, then of course it's not good. My personal advantage is we will have a new location with our shop directly at the water with all the boards. So next summer I will be able to just choose one board, go 5 meters to the water and ride it. Like our friend in Soto Grande. So I will use actually both boards more next year. And in terms of riding, it's like two different sports. If you have the luxury and you have both, awesome, then you will use them both. Yeah. If I personally would need to make a choice, I probably would still go for the efoil because they're more flexible. But again, I think both is a lot of fun, and some people just want to be on the surface, and then the jetboard is a better choice.
All right. So finally, you've been reviewing and comparing all of the boards. So what brands look most promising for you for this summer?
I think these are the brands. I mean, recently, again, if you look at the forums and different Facebook groups, you see a lot of pictures and so on from let's say, newer, maybe less expensive brands. I would bet on the companies who are in the market for 2 or 3 years, maybe have the second or even third generation product, because they know what they are doing. Because if you spend so much money, I know you sometimes had a different opinion, but if I spend so much money, I don't want to be a beta tester. And I think 3 years ago, we all needed to be beta tester because there was no ready product. But now actually there are a few companies, and these are well-known brands. It's from Onean to Radin to finally Lampuga. They work long enough. Flightboard, Lift. I mean, this top brands, I personally would feel safe. And if somebody says, well, I just don't have the budget, I mean, they should try with other boards, but it's hard to say. I would love if somebody would be able to bring out a board for half of the price and actually it's a similar quality. But so far, I think the boards just have their price, and I think Radin and Onean are probably the less expensive brands right now, which still have a lot of experience and should be able to provide good boards.
Yeah, I agree with you a lot, because I see a lot of people get into trouble. They just look for the next big thing, the newest board on the market, and then they basically become the paid beta testers. But they still spend 5,000-6,000, and then their board breaks, they must break. I mean, what's the point? If there are so many already established brands on the market that you can pay a little bit more, but then at least you know what you're buying.
Yeah, my main pain point with, let's say, new players, low budget it's just look at it. If you want to come into a market with a new product, yeah, and you offer it for, let's say, half the price, obviously there must be a difference somewhere in the quality and the components, it's for sure. So, but then the manufacturer also has a lower margin because a cheaper product is a lower margin, right? And then you have to do probably more customer support because you have lower quality materials, which means more support. So more support with less margin. So how should this become profitable? I mean, how many brands have we seen who made actually promises and came up maybe with 1 or 2 boards and then we never heard of them again? And I think these are people who realized after they sold 10 to 15 boards, how many returns they had, that they actually shut down. That's why I personally, again, wouldn't invest my money in the cheaper things.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why it's very important for people to check out eSurfer and your forum and Facebook groups to see the customer opinions about the boards, potential problems, so you see what you're going to buy, so you're not going to buy a black box.
Yeah, thank you. And again, you are helping me quite a lot. Sometimes I have questions, and the reason why I do this actually with the blogs, it's funny because some people ask me why did I actually start it even. I had a professor in university who said people who write books are not the experts. Actually, people who write books want to become the experts. And in fact, like every recent article, if it was storage in winter or mobile charging, was because I wanted to find a solution. So by actually researching and writing an article, actually you learn, and then actually can do it the right way. So it's a lot of fun, and I like it. And thanks to everybody who helps, like you.
Thank you, Andreas, again for all you do for the industry. I think we all owe you a big thank you, and keep up the great work. Let's keep on riding, let's keep on going, and keep doing the jetboard testing tour. I hope to see you soon in spring or in summer in Portugal as well, so we can ride together once again.
Yeah, the mobile home is waiting in front of the house. So once we are allowed, I will come by.
All right, cheers. Thank you for your time today. Bye.
Thank you, Mike.